So folks, I hope that everyone's week was wonderful and beautiful. I hope that the national holiday on Monday gave you the opportunity maybe to do some traveling or spend some time with your families over the long weekend. I had a great long weekend too, and by far the best part was the 30% off Memorial Day sale at the Container Store. And here, I believe it is important for me to tell you how I feel about the Container Store. I love it. I love it so much. I walk in there and the chaos in my head instantly subsides. I'm surrounded in there by matching stackable bins, drawer organizers with color-coded labels, precisely nested glass storage containers, and there I find serenity. I stroll through the aisles, admiring the containers for kitchen spices and wrapping paper, gleaming rows of pristine lucite refrigerator compartments, and hardy rubberized bins for garage tools. And when you've finished your shopping, there are also containers in which you can store your containers. I think that what makes me so happy when I shop at the Container Store is that I walk in and I can instantly visualize the immaculately organized life of my fantasies. Clothing that is hung on identical hangers, perfectly spaced a precise distance apart from each other, matching brushed seal dispensers in the shower for shampoo and conditioner. Now, in my real life, I store leftover lemon wedges in a Ziploc baggie like some kind of Neanderthal, but I could put them in lemon wedge-shaped plastic clamshell containers with a waterproof gasket. It's the dream. That kind of order and organization, even if it's just a fantasy, brings me a sense of comfort and calm, knowing that there's a place for everything and everything in its place, labeled, color-coded, placed in the drawer or on the shelf in a tight, crisp formation. Knowing that everything is tucked neatly into its designated container helps many of us feel more at ease. In a world that is so often chaotic and messy and unpredictable, it feels good to know that the ragged edges are hemmed tidily and everything that is rumpled and jumbled has been folded and sorted and stowed away. Which is why this week's Torah portion, Parshat Bamidbar, feels strangely satisfying, even though, and I hope you'll forgive me for saying so, it is remarkably boring literature. The beginning of the book of Numbers, true to its name, opens with an obsessive focus on structure, order, and containment. Bamidbar opens with the census Moses oversees for the children of Israel, and it has all the dramatic thrill of reading a phone book. The text enumerates every tribe as it is counted, every chieftain and elder as they are named, the precise location of every tribal holding as they are cataloged one by one. The Mishkan, our ancestors' portable worship space, is positioned at the center of a circular encampment, and all the tribes are arrayed in carefully calculated wedge-shaped plots all around its circumference. It is not great reading, but for someone like me, it is deeply satisfying. There's balance and harmony. There's a place for everyone, and everyone is in their place. It's satisfying even though we know it's fantasy, just like the ones that swirl through my head in the aisles of the Container Store. I am certain that in real life, the Israelite encampment would never have looked the way the Torah describes it. Because in real life, a community doesn't look like an orderly closet or a perfectly symmetrical spice rack. We know this. When the real census was taken, people must have been unruly and undisciplined. Surely there were parents chasing after their wayward toddlers, pairs of young lovers who snuck out of their tribe's campsite in order to stay close together. Just like today, people probably overslept and didn't show up. Or they refused to stand in their assigned spot because they liked someone else's territory better. Real life doesn't look like a catalog from the Container Store, much to my dismay, which is precise and ordered and satisfying, but it's an illusion. Rarely, if ever, do our real lives resemble anything out of the first 3 chapters of the book of Numbers either. Life is messy, and it is random and unpredictable, and with all its might, it resists our attempts to contain it. Which is what's so wonderful about the fact that we read about Moses' maniacal commitment to produce an immaculate inventory of the community at the same time, this Shabbat, that we're preparing to make our way to the festival of Shavuot, which starts Sunday night. Because Shavuot is a different kind of religious experience altogether. On that day, we reenact the process of standing at Sinai to receive the 10 Commandments. When the Torah describes that scene, it is a wild, chaotic drama. There's thunder and lightning, fire and smoke, a mountain trembling at the unimaginable sound of God's voice. This is not Container Store religion. It is a moment of radically spontaneous and untamed immediacy. And what's beautiful about finding ourselves here tonight, at this spot between Bamidbar and Shavuot, between the reassuring sense of order in the book of Numbers and the unpredictable electricity of Sinai, is that it reminds us of the imperative to preserve both modes of religious experience, both the tidy, precisely labeled containers and what they will hold: religious structure and spiritual spontaneity. One without the other is incomplete. Structure without spirit is rigid and legalistic, while undomesticated religious fervor does not invite us to build relationships or communities. The genius of our tradition is that it is rooted at the intersection of 2 truths. Human beings need order, but we also have to cultivate wonder. We have to work together to build a firm, reliable scaffolding around our lives, but that scaffolding has to remain flexible enough to accommodate the messy, unstructured holiness of the real world. This Shabbat is our last stop on the 7-week journey of the Omer, the long progression that began all the way back on the second night of Passover, our journey of personal refinement and preparation, which leads us up toward its climax at the top of Mount Sinai, toward an indescribable holiness which defies rules and order, a holiness that will not be contained. I'm always going to love the Container Store, even though I know and I try to remember that very little in our lives can be bundled up neatly for storage. Wonder cannot be contained or filed away. Grief will not stay closed up in a jar. Love is notorious for its unwillingness to be labeled or organized. And that which is sacred cannot be folded up and tucked into a lucite compartment. To be human is to coexist with unruly realities that spill out through our fingers or overwhelm us like an unexpected and startling clap of thunder. So, here, between Parshat Bamidbar and the eve of Shavuot, our charge is to hold the structure and the spontaneity and acknowledge them both with equanimity and grace. Our lives' containers on which we rely, the structures and rituals and rhythms that keep us grounded, and also the intangible spirit with which they may be filled, mystery and awe, and the universe's ineffable presences that defy and exceed our ability to plan and predict and organize, despite our most concerted efforts. So friends, in this sacred space, between the beginning of Numbers and the arrival of our Ten Commandments, let us work to find a fitting place for everything. Our responsibilities, our time, our priorities, and our traditions, and do what we can to keep everything in its place. But let us also remain mindful of those most precious things that cannot be contained: the nearness of God, the longings of our hearts, and the sacred possibilities of this beautiful, messy, holy life. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.